Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into some of the latest headlines in healthcare and tech. You've pulled together a really interesting mix here. We've got articles, research summaries, even a few podcast descriptions.
Yeah, it's a pretty diverse collection.
It is.
And hopefully we can cut through the noise and pull out the stuff that really matters.
Definitely.
The insights, the trends, the big picture stuff.
Exactly.
And connect the dots, right, between those big stories, the scientific stuff, and the political stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the things shaping healthcare right now.
Well, why don't we start with the big news? Straight out of Washington.
Okay, sure.
President Trump starting his second term, and he seems to have healthcare pretty high on his list of priorities.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say.
He's initiated the process of pulling the U.S. out of the World Health Organization.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in his inaugural address, he sets this, well, ambitious goal.
Ambitious is one word for it.
Ending chronic disease.
Yeah, big promises.
Makes you wonder what the global impact will be.
Yeah.
International health initiatives.
Right. Funding, collaboration, the whole global health security landscape.
Absolutely. Big questions. Yeah. And then closer to home.
Yeah.
How might this impact access to healthcare for everyday folks like you and me? What about the types of treatments that'll be available?
Lots to unpack there for sure.
And how about we shift gears a bit and talk about AI? Artificial intelligence making a real splash in healthcare right now.
You're seeing it everywhere.
We are.
Speeding up drug development, personalizing treatments, even using AI to analyze those mountains of medical data.
Right, right.
And one thing I find really interesting is the emergence of open source AI models. Like there's this Chinese startup called DeepSeek.
Okay.
And they've created this model, DeepSeek R1. They claim it's as good as OpenAI's model, but way, way cheaper.
And that could be huge. If these tools become affordable, more accessible, think about the impact that could have.
Yeah, democratizing AI.
Democratizing AI. I like that.
You could see a surge in innovation, especially in drug discovery, diagnostics.
And we're seeing another trend that's really taking off, too. Digital therapeutics.
Right.
Using software to manage and treat diseases.
Think therapy apps, symptom trackers, even VR for pain management.
Exactly. All those things.
Healthcare in your pocket, basically.
And have you heard of the B2C2B model?
Yeah, I've been hearing more and more about that.
It's really interesting. So a company might start by targeting consumers.
Right. They're building a user base, proving that their product, like a health app, actually works.
And
then they go to the businesses.
So like an insurance company might partner with them.
Right, integrating the app into their covered services.
Smart. It makes healthcare more convenient, more personalized.
Yeah, definitely a trend to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Let's shift gears again. We've got quite a bit on mental health.
Yeah, it seems like this is finally getting the attention it deserves.
And there's some fascinating research coming out too. I was reading about this work on autism using postmortem brain tissue donation.
Wow, yeah. They're learning so much about the brain by studying these precious donations.
It really underscores how important brain donation is.
Yeah, for sure.
For understanding these complex conditions.
Absolutely. And there's this other study I saw about smartwatches and their potential for mental health insights.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. They're collecting all sorts of physiological data.
Heart rate, sleep patterns, even tiny movements.
Right.
Researchers think they can use this data to spot patterns related to things like psychiatric illnesses, even genetic links.
So your smartwatch, it's like a window into your mental state.
It could be a game changer for diagnosis, treatment, and even our overall understanding of mental health.
Absolutely.
But of course, privacy, data security, those are huge concerns.
Yeah, ethical use of this kind of technology is going to be critical going forward.
You're right. And on that note, let's touch on the Edelman Trust Barometer.
Yeah, it's a bit of a grim picture, isn't it?
It is. Distrust in institutions, including government and media, seems to be at an all-time high.
It's a global phenomenon.
It is. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Healthcare is still seen as relatively trustworthy.
People trust their doctors, their hospitals.
But
there's a flip side.
there is.
This whole rise of what they call hostile activism.
Oh, yeah.
Online bullying, misinformation campaigns, even violence.
And the report says about 40% of people think this kind of behavior is okay if it leads to change.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
It's like, how do we even have constructive conversations about healthcare
Right.
in a world where people are so quick to anger, so quick to spread misinformation?
That's a question worth thinking about.
Yeah.
How do we promote respectful dialogue ensure that accurate information is at the heart of these conversations.
Yeah, it's a challenge for sure.
Definitely. Well, from distrust to disruption.
Yeah.
President Trump making big moves in the tech world as well, reversing President Biden's executive order on AI.
Yeah, pretty significant policy shift.
So can you remind me what Biden's order was trying to do?
Basically, it was about setting guidelines, regulations for AI development and use, trying to encourage innovation, but also address the potential risks.
And with Trump overturning it, it seems the U.S. is taking a more hands-off approach.
Right. Less regulation, more freedom for companies to experiment and develop new AI technologies.
But that comes with risks, too.
Of course, ethical considerations, unintended consequences, those things become even more important.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Definitely.
Speaking of playing out, we're seeing some interesting things happening within health systems and hospitals themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of new IT leaders being appointed, which suggests a continued focus on digital health, innovation, that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not slowing down. The push for digital transformation is just gaining momentum.
I was reading about Centaur and Norfolk General Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
They're piloting blood vending machines.
Blood vending machines. Now that's interesting.
It is. The idea is to give clinical teams faster access to blood products, especially in emergencies.
Okay, that makes sense. Time is critical in those situations.
And, of course, you've got Amazon.
Amazon's everywhere.
Always expanding their AI ambitions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Partnering with ADOC, which develops those advanced AI tools.
So Amazon's getting into healthcare, too.
They are.
I guess that shouldn't be a surprise.
And they've got the resources, the tech expertise.
They could really disrupt traditional healthcare models.
They could.
Greater efficiency, more innovation. But yeah, data privacy, the need for strong regulation.
Exactly. It's a balancing act.
It always is.
Now, something that really highlights that tension between innovation and affordability.
Okay.
The cost of cell and gene therapies.
These therapies are incredible. They're offering cures for diseases that were once considered incurable.
What?
But the price tag,
It's a problem.
it's a huge problem. Employers, insurers, healthcare providers, they're all grappling with it. Like, how do we make these therapies accessible?
Right. We can't have life-saving treatments that are only available to the wealthy.
Exactly. It's an ethical issue as much as it is a financial one.
And then another challenge that's just becoming more and more urgent,
Yeah.
access to mental health crisis support services.
The demand is skyrocketing, but the resources just aren't there.
Right. We need more behavioral health professionals, stronger crisis response systems, better integration of mental health care into primary care.
It's a multifaceted problem that requires a multi-pronged approach.
Absolutely. Now, on to some exciting research highlights. What's been catching your eye?
Well, there's this big study on Ozempic and other GLP-1 drugs.
GLP-1 drugs.
Yeah, they've shown incredible results, significantly reducing the risk of, get this, 42 health conditions.
42?
Heart attacks, Alzheimer's, even some cancers. It's pretty remarkable.
So these drugs, they were already known to be effective for type 2 diabetes and weight loss.
Right.
But this suggests they have even broader applications.
It's definitely an area that deserves further research.
And speaking of GLP-1 receptor agonists, another study suggests they might also benefit neurological and behavioral health.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Researchers think they could potentially reduce the risk of addiction and neurocognitive disorders.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's like these drugs are impacting multiple systems in the body.
It seems like it. This whole interconnectedness of different health conditions is really coming to light.
Absolutely. And then researchers at the Indian Institute of Science have made some progress in understanding how the brain manages chronic pain.
Chronic pain is a huge problem for so many people.
It is.
And it's so difficult to treat.
Right. Well, they're starting to understand how neurons in different brain regions work together to manage that pain,
Okay?
and how things like stress, fear, or even hunger can sometimes actually alleviate it.
That's so interesting. So pain perception, it's not just physical.
Right.
There's this whole complex interplay of physiological and psychological factors.
It opens up new possibilities for treatment.
Absolutely. And then in the world of cardiology, some exciting news about atrial fibrillation.
Okay, what's happening there?
So the Therapulse PFA system showing great promise for treating persistent atrial fibrillation,
Interesting.
high effectiveness rate, low rate of adverse events,
That's good to hear.
and then the Watchman FLX device.
Okay.
Significant reductions in non-procedural bleeding compared to traditional blood thinners.
So better outcomes for patients with atrial fibrillation.
It seems like it.
That's great news.
And then a little something for those thinking about a career in nursing.
Okay.
U.S. News & World Report just released their rankings for the best online nursing degree program.
Ah,
University of South Carolina took the top spot.
good for them.
Definitely. And a quick nod to sustainability.
Okay.
University of Manchester teaming up with Bupa.
Uh-huh.
They're aiming to reduce the healthcare sector's environmental impact.
That's great to see. Every industry needs to be thinking about this.
Absolutely. And then, back to the world of policy. The American Telemedicine Association, they're putting the pressure on the Trump administration
Laura.
to make telehealth a priority.
Okay.
They're pushing for permanent telehealth flexibilities,
Right.
equal reimbursement for virtual care.
Telehealth really proved its worth during the pandemic.
You did.
So making sure those gains aren't lost, that access to care isn't limited by geography, that's crucial.
Couldn't agree more. And finally, something a little bit heartwarming.
Oh, good.
Some hospitals in Colorado are trying something new to combat stress and burnout among their staff.
Yeah, it's a tough job.
It is.
Long hours, high stakes.
And so they're bringing in dogs,
Dogs, like the therapy dogs.
entire shifts spent with doctors and nurses.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Right. A little bit of furry companionship to brighten the day.
That's actually a really great idea.
And on that note, why don't we take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll delve into some more of these fascinating stories shaping the world of healthcare and technology.
Sounds good to me. It really highlights the emotional toll this work takes on people and finding ways to support them. You know, even small gestures can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Okay, let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. I'm seeing a surge in private equity deals in healthcare and life sciences,
Yeah, that's been a pretty consistent trend lately.
like Windrose Health investors acquiring Cardio One.
Right, Cardio One, they're a physician enablement company, right?
Yeah, they help independent cardiologists navigate this crazy healthcare system,
It's all about giving them the support and resources they need to thrive.
especially as the industry keeps changing so rapidly.
And speaking of keeping up with change, the American Telemedicine Association, they're still pushing hard for policies that support telehealth.
Yeah, they're advocating for those permanent telehealth flexibilities and making sure reimbursement is fair.
It's about making virtual care a viable option for everyone involved.
Now, circling back to cancer care, we touched on this earlier, but using FHIR-based reporting is really gaining traction.
FHIR, it's all about streamlining data exchange, right?
Exactly. Making it easier for different systems to talk to each other. And that could be huge for oncology.
Yeah, faster research, better treatments, potentially saving lives.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
And speaking of advancements in cancer care, Anish Chopra, the former US CTO,
Yeah, I know the name.
he's spearheading this new cancer navigation challenge.
Yo, that's interesting. What's that all about?
It's all about using tech and innovation to improve the experience for patients who are going through a cancer diagnosis.
Okay, so giving them the resources and support they need to navigate this complex journey.
Yeah, exactly. Making sure they don't feel alone, giving them the tools to advocate for themselves.
That's a really important initiative. Okay, so what else has been catching your eye in the world of research? Any breakthroughs?
Yeah, actually, researchers have made a pretty remarkable discovery about the brain and how it manages chronic pain.
Wow, chronic pain. That's something that affects so many people.
And it's notoriously difficult to treat. But this new research could lead to more effective therapies.
So is it like a new drug or a new type of treatment?
Not exactly.
Okay.
It's more about understanding the underlying mechanisms. They've uncovered how specific neural pathways play a role in pain modulation.
So they're figuring out how the brain processes pain.
Exactly. And that could lead to more targeted treatments, better pain relief for millions of people.
That's incredible. And speaking of groundbreaking research, there's this study about smartwatches and their potential for mental health insights.
Yeah, we talked about that a bit earlier.
Just blows my mind. They're collecting all this physiological data, you know?
Heart rate, sleep patterns, even subtle movements.
And researchers think they can use this data to identify patterns that correlate with specific mental health conditions, even genetic predispositions.
It's like a window into the inner workings of our minds. And it could transform how we approach mental health care.
Yeah, earlier detection, personalized interventions. It's pretty amazing to think about.
Absolutely. Now back to the AI debate. President Trump's decision to reverse that executive order on AI is still causing quite a stir.
Yeah, it's a controversial move.
Some people are applauding it. They think less regulation will lead to faster innovation and prevent the U.S. from falling behind in the global AI race.
Right, the whole let's not stifle progress argument.
Exactly. But then there are others who are really concerned about the potential for ethical issues, unintended consequences, the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a tricky balance, isn't it?
It really is. How do you foster innovation while still ensuring that AI is developed and used responsibly?
It's a question that we're going to be grappling with for a while.
Absolutely. Now, on a more positive note, there's been some incredible progress in AI-powered drug discovery
Oh,
platforms.
yeah, those are fascinating.
Researchers are using AI to accelerate the development of new treatments for a whole range of diseases. It's pretty exciting stuff.
It has the potential to completely revolutionize the pharmaceutical industry.
I think so too. And that could mean new cures, new therapies, hope for patients who may not have had many options before.
Speaking of industry shifts, I'm also noticing quite a few healthcare organizations are bringing in new IT leadership.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's doubling down on digital transformation.
It makes sense. Technology is evolving so rapidly, and healthcare needs to keep up.
And speaking of tech and healthcare, have you heard about what Centara Norfolk General Hospital is doing?
Fill me in.
They're piloting blood vending machines.
Blood vending machines. I've never heard of that before.
It's pretty innovative, right? It's all about making sure critical blood products are readily available, especially in emergency situations.
Okay, so faster access to blood when every second counts. That's pretty clever.
And then there's Amazon. Always got to talk about Amazon.
Amazon's got their fingers in every pie these days.
They're partnering with ADOC to expand their AI ambitions even further, getting deeper into the healthcare space.
So Amazon's vast resources and tech expertise now applied to healthcare. It's kind of scary, but also kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag. They have the potential to really shake things up, make things more efficient. But there are also concerns about data privacy and the need for strong regulation.
It's a double-edged sword for sure.
Now, let's talk about an issue that's close to home for many families. Excessive screen time in children.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
There's growing concern about the potential negative impacts on kids' physical and mental health.
Sleep problems, obesity, attention difficulties, you name it.
It's a real challenge for parents and caregivers.
Ah.
How do you strike a balance?
It's tough, but it's about setting limits, encouraging other activities, making sure screen time doesn't take over their lives.
Right, finding that healthy balance.
And speaking of healthy balance, the BDC2B model, it's still making waves in the world of digital therapeutics.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty effective way to get those innovative health tools into the hands of the people who need them.
Right, so the company starts by targeting consumers, building a user base, proving that their app or whatever actually works.
And then they go to the businesses, like insurers and healthcare providers.
Exactly. And if the product is good, those businesses will integrate it into their offerings.
It's a win-win. More convenient care for patients, better outcomes for providers.
And speaking of convenient care, the American Telemedicine Association, they're keeping the pressure on the Trump administration to prioritize telehealth.
They're advocating for those permanent flexibilities and making sure reimbursement is fair.
It's about ensuring that telehealth remains a viable option, breaking down those geographical and financial barriers.
And speaking of groundbreaking research, there's this study about smartwatches and their potential for mental health insights.
It's amazing what they're doing with all that data, right? Heart rate, sleep patterns, even subtle movements.
And researchers believe they can use that data to identify patterns that correlate with certain mental health conditions, even genetic predispositions.
It could revolutionize mental health care. Imagine being able to detect mental health issues early on or personalize treatment plans based on this kind of data.
It's pretty incredible.
Okay.
Now, back to that AI debate. President Trump reversing President Biden's executive order on AI, it's still a hot topic.
It's a complicated issue, no doubt about it.
Some people think less regulation will unleash innovation and prevent the U.S. from falling behind in the global AI race. But then there are those who worry about the ethical implications, the potential risks, the need for safeguards.
It's tough to find that sweet spot between promoting innovation and making sure AI is developed and used responsibly.
It is. And while that debate continues, researchers are making some remarkable progress in developing AI-powered drug discovery platforms.
Yeah, that's a really exciting area.
They're using AI to speed up the development of new treatments. And that could have a huge impact on a whole range of diseases.
It's about finding cures faster, getting those life-saving therapies to patients who need them.
And speaking of industry shifts, we're seeing a lot of healthcare organizations appointing new IT leaders. Looks like digital transformation is still a top priority.
Yeah, the healthcare industry is really embracing technology to improve efficiency, enhance patient care, all of that.
And speaking of tech and healthcare, Centaur Norfolk General Hospital, they're doing something really interesting. They're piloting blood vending machines.
Blood vending machines. What will they think of next?
It's about ensuring that critical blood products are readily available, especially in those emergency situations where every second counts.
That's a pretty innovative approach.
Now, let's talk about something that's on the minds of many parents these days. Excessive screen time for kids.
Yeah, it's a valid concern.
All that screen time, it can have some pretty negative impacts on kids' development.
Sleep disruptions, obesity, attention problems, all sorts of things.
It's tough, though. Technology's everywhere. How do you find that balance?
It's about setting boundaries, encouraging other activities, making sure their world isn't just screens.
Right, helping them develop healthy habits.
Exactly. And speaking of healthy habits, the B2C2B model, it's proving to be a pretty effective way to connect consumers with those innovative digital health tools.
You mean those companies that start by targeting consumers, building a user base, proving that their product works?
Yep. And then they go to the businesses like insurers and healthcare providers to get those tools integrated into existing healthcare plans.
It's a win-win. Patients get access to tools they like, and providers can enhance their offerings.
Speaking of enhancing offerings, the American Telemedicine Association, they're still advocating for policies that support telehealth.
They're really pushing for those permanent flexibilities and making sure reimbursement is fair.
It's about ensuring that telehealth remains a viable option, breaking down those barriers to care.
And then there's the research on smartwatches and mental health. It's amazing what they're learning from all that data.
It's like a continuous stream of insights into our mental state.
Heart rate, sleep patterns, even tiny movements, it all tells a story.
And researchers are finding that they can use this data to spot patterns that might indicate mental health issues, even genetic predispositions.
It's incredibly powerful stuff. Okay, let's touch on the AI debate one more time. President Trump's decision to overturn that executive order on AI, it's still a pretty controversial move.
It's a tough one. There are valid arguments on both sides.
Some people believe that less regulation will unleash innovation and prevent the U.S. from falling behind in the global AI race. But others are concerned about the potential for ethical issues, unintended consequences, all of that.
It's about finding that balance between promoting innovation and making sure AI is used responsibly, and that's not always easy.
No, it's not. Now, on a more positive note, there's been some remarkable progress in AI-powered drug discovery platforms.
Yeah, that's an exciting area to watch.
They're using AI to speed up the development of new treatments, and that could mean new cures, new therapies, hope for patients who may not have had many options before.
Speaking of hope, there's also a lot of activity around digital health initiatives within hospitals and healthcare systems.
It seems like everyone's focusing on digital transformation.
It's a sign of the times. The healthcare industry is realizing that they need to embrace technology to stay competitive and provide the best possible care.
Speaking of embracing technology, have you heard about what Centaur Norfolk General Hospital is doing?
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
They're piloting blood vending machines.
Blood vending machines. That's a new one.
It's pretty ingenious, actually. It's all about making sure that those life-saving blood products are readily available, especially in those critical emergency situations where every second counts.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's top of mind for many parents these days. Too much screen time for kids.
It's a valid concern. Kids are spending more and more time in front of screens, and it's having a real impact on their development.
Sleep problems, obesity, attention issues, the list goes on.
It's tough to find that balance, but it's crucial for parents to set limits and encourage other activities.
Help them develop healthy habits early on.
Exactly. And speaking of healthy habits, the BTC2B model continues to gain traction in the digital health world.
It seems like it's been pretty successful in getting those innovative health tools into the hands of the people who need them.
It's all about connecting consumers with solutions that work.
And then those companies take those solutions to the businesses, like insurers and healthcare providers, to get them integrated into existing healthcare plans.
It's a win-win for everyone involved.
And speaking of win-win, the American Telemedicine Association, they're still pushing for policies that support telehealth.
Telehealth has come a long way, especially since the pandemic.
It has. And they want to make sure those gains aren't lost. They're advocating for permanent flexibilities and fair reimbursement.
It's about ensuring that telehealth remains a viable option for everyone.
Okay, back to the research front. We were talking about the potential of smartwatches for mental health insights.
It's pretty amazing what they're doing with all that physiological data, right?
I know. It's like they're tapping into the secrets of our minds.
Heart rate, Sleep patterns, even those tiny movements we make, it all tells the story.
And researchers are finding that they can use this data to detect patterns that might indicate mental health issues or even genetic predispositions.
It could revolutionize the way we approach mental health care. Early detection, personalized interventions, it's pretty exciting.
And speaking of exciting, but also controversial, let's revisit the AI debate one last time. President Trump's decision to overturn that executive order on AI, it continues to be a topic of heated discussion.
There are definitely strong opinions on both sides.
Some believe that less regulation will lead to more innovation and help the U.S. stay ahead in the global AI race. But others are really worried about the ethical implications and the need for safeguards.
It's a tough balance to strike.
And while that debate continues, researchers are making some incredible progress in developing AI-powered drug discovery platforms.
Yeah, that's definitely something to celebrate.
They're using AI to speed up the development of new treatments, and that could mean cures, therapies, hope for so many people.
And speaking of new developments, we're seeing a lot of activity in hospitals and healthcare systems around digital transformation.
They're bringing in new IT leaders, investing in new technologies, really embracing the digital age.
Yeah, the healthcare industry is definitely on the move.
And speaking of on the move, have you heard about what Centara Norfolk General Hospital is doing?
Tell me more. I'm always interested in innovative ideas.
They're piloting blood vending machines.
Blood vending machines. Now that's something I've never heard of before.
It's a pretty clever idea, actually. It's all about making sure that those life-saving blood products are readily available in those critical emergency situations.
So no delays, no waiting around. The blood is right there when they need it.
Exactly. Now let's switch gears and talk about something that's a big concern for many parents.
Yep.
Kids and excessive screen time.
It's definitely a topic that's generating a lot of discussion these days.
All that screen time, it can have a real impact on kids' health and development.
Sleep problems, obesity, difficulty focusing, the list goes on.
It's tough, though, because technology is everywhere these days.
It is, but it's important for parents to set limits and encourage other activities. Help kids find that healthy balance.
Okay, back to the business side of things. The BDC2B model continues to gain momentum in the world of digital therapeutics.
It's a pretty effective way to connect consumers with those innovative health tools.
So those companies that start by targeting consumers, proving that their product works, and then going to the bigger players to get those products integrated into existing healthcare systems.
Exactly. It's a win-win. Consumers get solutions that work, and providers can enhance their offerings.
And speaking of enhancing offerings, the American Telemedicine Association, they're still pushing for policies that support telehealth.
Telehealth really proved its worth during the pandemic.
It did. And now they want to make sure those gains aren't lost. They're advocating for permanent flexibilities and making sure reimbursement is fair.
It's about ensuring that everyone has access to quality care, no matter where they live.
And then there's the fascinating research on smartwatches and mental health. They're really uncovering some incredible insights.
It's like having a window into our minds, continuously tracking our mental state.
Heart rate, sleep patterns, even those tiny movements, it's all data that can be analyzed.
And researchers are finding that they can use this data to spot patterns that might indicate mental health issues or even genetic predispositions.
It's pretty remarkable stuff. Okay, let's talk about the AI debate one last time. President Trump's decision to overturn that executive order on AI, it's still generating a lot of discussion and controversy.
It's a complex issue, no doubt about it.
Some argue that less regulation will boost innovation and help the U.S. stay competitive in the global AI race. But others are really concerned about the ethical implications, the potential for misuse, the need for safeguards.
It's a tough balance to strike. How do you promote innovation while also ensuring that AI is developed and used responsibly?
And while that debate continues, researchers are making some exciting progress in developing AI-powered drug discovery platforms.
It's an area with huge potential.
They're using AI to accelerate the development of new treatments, and that can mean cures, new therapies, hope for patients who might not have had many options before.
It's a really promising field.
Now let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something a little lighter.
Oh, okay, good.
Some hospitals in Colorado are trying out a new strategy to help their staff cope with stress and burnout. Dogs.
Dogs, like bringing dogs to the hospital?
Yep. They're having dogs spend entire shifts with doctors and nurses, just hanging out, providing some furry companionship.
That's so sweet. What a great idea.
Right. It's a little reminder that even small gestures can make a big difference.
And speaking of making a difference, U.S. News& and World Report just released their rankings for the best online nursing degree programs.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. The University of South Carolina snagged the top spot.
That's great news for anyone thinking about a career in nursing and exploring those online options.
Absolutely. And on the sustainability front, the University of Manchester is teaming up with Bupa to try and reduce the healthcare sector's environmental impact.
Good for them. Every industry needs to be doing its part.
I agree. Now back to policy for a minute. The American Telemedicine Association, they're really pushing the Trump administration to make telehealth a priority.
Yeah, they're advocating for those permanent telehealth flexibilities and fair reimbursement for virtual care.
It's about ensuring that telehealth remains a viable option for both patients and providers.
And then there's all the buzz about AI and coding. It seems like everyone's jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, from big tech companies to startups, everyone's exploring the potential of AI to revolutionize software development.
So what's the big idea? What can AI do for coding?
Well, proponents believe that AI could make coding faster, more efficient, and even accessible to people who don't have a lot of technical expertise.
Okay, so democratizing coding in a way.
Exactly. Imagine a world where anyone with an idea can create software with the help of AI.
That's pretty mind-blowing. But what about the potential downsides?
Well, one of the big concerns is the impact on employment. As AI takes on more coding tasks, what happens to human coders?
That's a valid concern. We need to be thinking about those kinds of consequences.
And then, of course, there are the ethical considerations. We need to make sure AI-powered coding tools aren't biased and that human oversight is built into the process.
Right, we don't want to create systems that perpetuate existing inequalities or make decisions without human accountability.
And on that note, let's talk about the growing cybersecurity crisis facing the healthcare industry.
Yeah, those cyber attacks are becoming more and more sophisticated and more frequent.
They're putting patient data at risk, they're disrupting healthcare operations. It's a huge problem.
So what can be done to strengthen cybersecurity in healthcare?
It's a multi-pronged approach. We need to invest in better security technologies, educate healthcare workers about cybersecurity best practices, and have those strong incident response plans in place.
It's about being proactive, not reactive, staying ahead of the curve.
Now let's dive into the fascinating world of large language models, those AI systems that are trained on massive data sets of text and code.
I've been hearing a lot about these lately. What's all the hype about?
They're capable of generating human-quality text, translating languages, writing different kinds of content, answering questions, and even coding.
So they're like AI that can communicate just like humans do.
Exactly. And businesses are starting to use them for all sorts of things, from customer service and marketing to research and development.
It sounds like they have the potential to really shake things up.
They do. But of course, with any powerful technology, there are ethical considerations and potential risks that we need to be mindful of.
Like bias, privacy, those sorts of things.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears and talk about a crisis that's affecting the healthcare workforce: burnout.
It's a huge problem, and it seems like it's only getting worse.
It's been exacerbated by the pandemic, but it's a long-standing issue.
Long hours, high stress, compassion fatigue, it takes a toll.
And it's leading to a lot of healthcare workers leaving the profession.
So what can be done to address burnout?
It's a complex issue, but it starts with recognizing that healthcare workers are human beings too. We need to prioritize their well-being, create more supportive work environments, reduce those administrative burdens, and foster a culture that values self-care.
It's about taking care of the people who take care of us.
Now let's talk about blockchain technology. It's often associated with cryptocurrencies, but it has applications far beyond finance.
Yeah, I've heard about that. How is blockchain being used in healthcare?
Well, one of the most interesting applications is using blockchain to build trust in AI.
Okay, I'm curious. How does that work?
Blockchain's transparency and immutability make it an ideal platform for creating auditable records of AI decisions and data usage, so everyone can see how the AI system is operating.
So it increases accountability and makes it harder to tamper with the data or the algorithms.
Exactly. And that's especially important in healthcare, where trust is so crucial.
Now, let's talk about a topic that's been generating a lot of concern lately: the potential risks associated with some of the popular weight loss drugs on the market.
Yeah, while these drugs have been shown to be effective for weight loss and managing type 2 diabetes, there are some serious concerns about potential side effects.
Like what? What are people worried about?
We've seen reports of gastrointestinal issues, pancreatitis, kidney problems, and even potential negative impacts on neurological and behavioral health.
So it's not just about the physical risks, but also the potential mental health impacts.
Right. It's important for both patients and healthcare providers to be aware of all the potential risks and carefully monitor for any adverse effects.
Now let's shift gears and talk about some of the advancements happening in cancer care. There's always so much exciting research and innovation in this field.
It's an area where we're constantly seeing progress and new breakthroughs.
One of the things I've been reading about is the use of FHIR-based reporting to improve data exchange in oncology.
Can you remind us what FHIR is all about?
FHIR stands for Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources. It's a standard for exchanging healthcare information electronically. Basically, it allows different healthcare systems to talk to each other more easily.
Okay, so it's all about seamless data sharing.
Right. And in oncology, FHIR is being used to streamline cancer reporting, improve data quality, and facilitate research.
So it's about making cancer care more efficient and effective.
Exactly. And there's also a growing movement toward improving cancer navigation for patients.
What exactly does that mean?
Cancer navigators provide personalized support and guidance to patients throughout their cancer journey. They help patients understand their diagnosis, make informed decisions about their treatment, access resources, and navigate the often complex healthcare system.
So it's about empowering patients and making sure they have the support they need.
Absolutely. It's a really valuable service, especially when you consider how overwhelming a cancer diagnosis can be.
Now, let's talk about a topic that's often overlooked: the mental health challenges faced by women.
Mental health is important for everyone, but women often face unique stressors and pressures.
Exactly. There's a new book that explores this issue in detail, Out of Her Mind: How We Are Failing Women's Mental Health and What Must Change.
Okay, what's the book's main argument?
It argues that the traditional psychiatric approach to treating women often falls short.
In what way?
It doesn't always take into account the specific challenges and experiences that women face. It calls for a more holistic approach that recognizes the unique biological, social, and cultural factors that can influence women's mental health.
It sounds like a really important book.
And now for an inspiring story of recovery. A patient in the UK named Ashish has made remarkable progress in his stroke recovery thanks to a specialized rehabilitation program.
That's wonderful news. Stroke can have such devastating consequences.
It can, but stories like this give us hope and remind us of the incredible resilience of the human spirit.
Now, for something a little lighter, there's an interesting article in The Atlantic about the awkwardness that some people feel when saying their loved ones' names.
That's an unusual topic. I've definitely experienced that before, though.
Apparently, it might be linked to a condition called alexithymia, which affects a person's ability to identify and express their own emotions.
So even the simple act of saying someone's name can trigger complex emotional responses.
It's a reminder of how much meaning we attach to language, even in the most seemingly mundane interactions.
Now let's talk about a serious health hazard that's affecting residents in Los Angeles: wildfire ash.
Wildfires are becoming more and more frequent, and their impact goes far beyond the immediate destruction.
The fine particles in wildfire ash can pose serious health risks, especially for people with respiratory conditions.
What are some of the things people can do to protect themselves?
It's important to wear masks when you're outdoors, especially N95 masks, limit outdoor activity, and keep your windows and doors closed to prevent the ash from getting into your home.
Okay, now for some good news. There's a new clinic opening in Chandler, Arizona that's focused on providing affordable and accessible healthcare.
Access to quality healthcare is a fundamental right, and it's great to see initiatives like this that are working to make that right a reality.
And in Connecticut, SiteMD has acquired Doctor & Associates, a move that's expected to enhance eye care services in the region.
It seems like they're aiming to improve access to specialized care and improve patient outcomes.
And shifting our focus to international healthcare news, BJMC and SGH are planning to establish a super specialty hospital in Pune, India.
That's a significant investment in healthcare infrastructure, and it's a sign of the growing demand for specialized medical services in India.
And Malaysia is going to be hosting the ASEAN Safety and Health Workers Summit later this year.
That summit will bring together experts from across Southeast Asia to discuss ways to improve occupational safety and health.
Okay, let's wrap up with a few final news items. Researchers have made some really exciting discoveries about the brain mechanisms involved in reducing chronic pain.
This is groundbreaking stuff. What have they learned?
They've identified specific neural pathways that play a key role in modulating pain signals. This opens up new avenues for developing more targeted and effective pain therapies.
It's a ray of hope for millions of people suffering from chronic pain.
And in a really inspiring example of global collaboration, the University of Leicester is partnering with Apollo Hospitals to launch a global digital health center.
That's fantastic. What will this center focus on?
Their goal is to leverage technology to improve healthcare delivery and expand access to care in underserved communities around the world. It's a pretty ambitious project, but it has the potential to make a real difference.
It does. Global collaboration is key to solving some of these big healthcare challenges.
Absolutely. And then we've got this interesting partnership between Ream Hospital and Nikra AI applications.
Oh, yeah, I read about that. What are they working on?
They're using AI to enhance patient care, streamline operations, and boost revenue. It's a good example of how AI is being integrated into all aspects of healthcare.
And finally, the ACHC is renewing their partnership with the Community Oncology Alliance to support oncology care.
That's good news. It's all about improving access to quality cancer care and advancing research.
It's great to see these kinds of collaborations happening. It takes a village, as they say.
It really does.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. President Trump's moves on healthcare, the rise of AI, the promise of digital therapeutics, all those exciting research breakthroughs, and of course, the importance of addressing mental health.
It's a lot to take in, for sure. But it's clear that healthcare is at a crossroads.
It is. Technology is driving so much change, and it's happening so fast.
It's both exhilarating and a little bit daunting.
As you process all this information, here's something to ponder. With AI becoming so sophisticated, how do we make sure that healthcare remains human-centered? How do we balance all this amazing technology with the need for empathy, compassion, and that personal touch?
That's the million-dollar question, and one that we all need to be thinking about.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into healthcare and technology. It's been a fascinating conversation.
It really has. And as always, we encourage you to stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring this ever-changing landscape.
We'll be back with more insights and analysis next time. Until then, take care.